What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're here for the first time, welcome to what's not really a channel. I just upload Animal Crossing Island videos here when I finish a new themed island, and today I just happened to finish an island specifically themed around Pokemon, actually the Kanto region in the video game called Fire Red, originally made for the Game Boy. So this is basically a walkthrough of the game, just in Animal Crossing form, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Just like in the game, you start off in Pallet Town. Here to the left you have your house, and eventually you then get sent over to Professor Oak's lab, which is here on the right. There's Professor Oak on the left, and the starter Pokemon. I pretty much always choose Charmander just because I choose my Pokemon based on who I think is the cutest and their evolution cuteness. There on the left, you have your rival Gary. That design I think is technically from the show, but that's just what I envision when I play the games anyways, so that's why that's there. Along the first route here, we run into Rattatas and Nidorans a lot, and then you enter the Viridian Forest. Watch out for those trainers. They're always going to want to battle you, but you also run into some Weedles. And we also have hidden here a little Pokeball. Probably has a potion in it. Pick that up and then keep going through the forest where you run into a Pidgey and a Caterpie. And then for my little peninsula, you have another little Pokeball here, a trainer, and also a Pikachu. Okay, so due to spacing issues, I actually don't have a Viridian City in here next, but Giovanni the gym leader is around in other places because he runs Team Rocket. So for now, actually, the next city is Pewter City, and here's my Pokemon Center. There's Nurse Joy there in the middle, ready to heal your Pokemon, and then if you want to store or change your Pokemon, that usual machine is there on the right. I tried to make it look as much like the in-game Pokemon Centers as possible. If you continue your walk, you come to another hidden Pokeball here. And this is obviously where Resident Services is. And to the right here, we have the museum. The museum actually is in Pewter City in the game. And further to the right here, we have a Pokemon Daycare Center. This is where you drop off your Pokemon to have them level up without having to actually have them in your party. And then they can also breed and have eggs. Usually people use a Ditto like you see here on the right. And there's an Exeggutor here on the left, because I thought that was a perfect use of the coconut tree. And then these are pretty much just my rare flowers. Also in Pewter City, we of course run into our first gym here on the left. The gym leader here is Brock. He specializes in rock-type Pokemon. You have to first play the trainer on the left, and then you get to face him and his Onyx. And then when you win, you get the Boulder Badge. When you leave Pewter City, I had kind of like an awkward little space here. So I just decided to make this a little Team Rocket secret base that doubles as the campsite. And yes, I know Jessie and James are not in the games, but this is my island, and I wanted to include them there with Meowth. So I did. And then this part of my beach is mostly just to hold even more rare flowers. But on the rocks here to the right, I just decided to put the Squirtle Squad and Officer Jennie, also from the show. And then this big rock here just has all of my evolutions. I think in this game you can only evolve Eevee into Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon. But I just wanted to include all of them because I thought it was really cute. And in the front here, we have the stones needed to turn Eevee into Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon. Umbreon is actually my favorite, but Leafeon actually has been really growing on me recently. Anyways, continuing on, you find more Pokemon, and then to the right here you have Mount Moon. Zubats everywhere all the time, as usual. And there's some craters, and you can go downstairs, and there's a fossil for you to collect. And then if you go back up the ladder, you can go further up, and this moon is kind of just symbolic because it's literally Mount Moon. But this is also where you can get a Clefairy. I think it's the only place you can get a Clefairy. And there's another hidden Pokeball here. What I should have included is some repels, because honestly, you start running into Pokemon every 5 feet and you're just trying to work your way through the mountain. Anyways, back down the ladder we go, and we're going to continue on. Face a few more trainers here, get that Pokeball, a couple more trainers, and eventually you make your way to Cerulean City. After all that battling and catching Pokemon, you're probably going to need to restock up on your potions and your Pokeballs, so here is the Pokemart that I designed. Look at these little grocery can aisles. They ended up being so cute and perfect. Anyway, to the left here, we run into the Cerulean City Gym, and this one is run by Misty. She specializes in water-type Pokemon, and there she is with her Starmie. And also the Cascade badge is what you get when you beat her. To the left here is where you'll find yet another little hidden Pokeball. Go ahead and scoop that up. And then this is where in the game you can buy a bike from the bike shop. And also where you can find Bill's house to the left here. You go in and you realize he turned himself into a Clefairy somehow. So you gotta mess with his machine and turn him back, and as a reward, you get this little ticket to a ship. Then as you cross this bridge, you run into Gary again to battle him, and then you head into Vermilion City, hidden Pokeball there. If you go straight, you end up on a dock, and this is where you hand over that ticket that Bill gave you, and you get to board the S.S Anne. You can't go in this one, obviously, but in the games you can. You battle a bunch of people, you get items. It's cool. And then also in Vermilion City, if you go to the left here, you get to the electric type gym. This is the first puzzle type gym that's not straightforward. You gotta dig in all the trash cans and find the one that has the switch in it to turn off the electric shields. And then you get to face Lieutenant Surge. There he is with his Raichu and the Thunder badge that you get when you beat him. Then you're following the road some more. You face some more trainers. You find wild Pokemon like Ekans and Oddish and Magnemite and Drowzee. And then you get to Diglett's cave. Pretty self-explanatory. Diglett's all over the place. I can't actually remember if you can come across Dugtrios there or not. But yeah, that's that. And then if you continue on the road, you have to have a Pokemon use Cut in order to get by this small tree. But then that leads you into Lavender Town, which is where you find the Pokemon Tower, kind of a graveyard for Pokemon. It's supposed to be spooky and misty, so that's why the diffusers are there. And this is where you run into a bunch of ghost-type Pokemon on your way up the tower. Basically all Ghastlies and the occasional Haunter. And then, unfortunately, at the top you find the remains of Cubone's mom. So that's a little dark. But as a reward for finally letting her find peace by stopping Team Rocket up there, I think, you get this little flute here from an old guy, and you actually need that. After facing Gary yet again, you get to head into Celadon City, which is where in the game you find the giant department store. So this is naturally the perfect place for me to put my Nook's Cranny and my Able Sisters shop. I tried to make it look like they were on different levels, like a full-blown mall would have it. And there's another hidden Pokeball over here. And then also in Celadon City, there is another gym. And this is where you get to face Erica, whose specialty is grass-type Pokemon. There she is with her Pokemon Vileplume. And after you beat her, you get the Rainbow Badge. And then also here in this city is where you discover a big old Team Rocket hideout. It's underneath an arcade casino type of building, and you gotta beat a bunch of grunts, and then eventually you get to meet up with the leader of Team Rocket, and he's also a gym leader, and that's Giovanni. And that's all for Celadon City. After that, you come to a Snorlax, that's blocking your path and it's sleeping, and the only way to get it to move is to play the flute that old guy gave you in Lavender Town. And that leads you to the cycling road. The guard won't let you by unless you are on a bike. And then, yeah, you face a bunch of trainers on bikes. A lot of them have Koffings and Mucks, and it's way bigger in the game, but you get the point. From there, you head into Saffron City. The gym is here on the right, and the gym leader here is Sabrina, and she has a lot of psychic-type Pokemon. And the way you get to her in the game is by stepping on the portals and figuring out the pattern to get to her. A lot of the portals lead to other trainers, and I always end up just Googling the pattern because I am way too lazy to figure out how to actually get to her. These pipes, though, in the game are random, so here it's kind of a trial and error thing. But eventually, oh, there she is, with her Alakazam, and when you beat her, you get the Marsh Badge. And then you hop back in the pipes that hopefully lead back to the entrance, which does in this case, nice. And then there's also a karate dojo, and you can face a few fighter-type Pokemon specialists, and you can beat the head guy and pick whether you want a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan. I always pick Hitmonchan on the right. I just like his design better. Then you face your rival yet again. There's another Snorlax blocking the bridge path. And this is a big type of place where you can fish and get water-type Pokemon. And to catch better ones, there's a fisherman who gives you a better fishing rod. And that then leads you into Fuchsia City, which is where you find the Safari Zone. This is a very tiny version of the Safari Zone, but there's like rare Pokemon that you can only catch in there. They give you a bunch of Pokeballs, and you just run around and catch Pokemon like Scyther and Vulpix, which actually I think is a Leaf Green exclusive, but oh well. Then we have another gym, and when you walk into this gym in the game, it looks like there's nothing in the room except the trainers. But there's actually invisible walls, and it's a maze, and you have to make your way to the gym leader, which is Koga, who specializes in poison types, and there he is with his cuffing and the soul badge. This one I was able to figure out all by myself when I was playing the game, so that one was pretty straightforward. On the left here is just an orchard for my fruit trees and veggies, but there is a hidden Pokeball up here. And if you continue up the path, you come to a lot of water, and that's because the next gym is on an island. By then you'll have learned the move Surf, where you get on a water-type Pokemon like this Poliwhirl here, and you ride them across the water. Actually, I think that's a Poliwag. But that design is not mine, but it is super cute. I had to use it, so yep, you just hop on over, beat some trainers, catch some water Pokemon, and then you get to Cinnabar Island. But you can't just go straight into the gym in the game. The door's locked, and you have to find a key, and the key is in an abandoned mansion, and you find a couple of statues with switches that unlock some gates, and they eventually lead you to finding the key. And then also on Cinnabar Island, there's like a fossil lab that can turn one of the fossils you grabbed somewhere in the game into a live Pokemon again. I don't even remember which ones they are, but that's there. And then clearly I was running out of space by now, but this gym was fairly plain and straightforward. This is Blaine, and he uses fire-type Pokemon. There he is with his Growlithe and the Volcano badge. And finally, once you've beaten all those gym leaders in the game, you're supposed to run all the way back to Viridian City, and one more time you get to beat Giovanni, this time as a gym leader, for the Earth badge. So here he is with Nidoking, and that gives you all 8 badges, and that lets you get by all the security guards through Victory Road up the Indigo Plateau to get to the Pokemon League, which in this case is my house. This is at the very end of the game where you get to battle the Elite Four for the chance to become the Pokemon League champion. Naturally, you start by healing up and buying all your potions, revives, and stat boosters, because you have to beat all of the Elite Four back to back without being able to come back out to the Pokemon Center. While this loads, I just want to mention that I put speakers playing KK Metal into all the rooms to really set the mood, so I'm going to let it play for a few seconds so you can appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, that was Lorelei? The Ice-type Specialist team with Dugong, Cloyster, Slowbro, Jinx, and Lapras. After you beat her, you come to the right, and you get to face Bruno, and he specializes in rock and fighting type Pokemon. In his lineup, he has 2 Onyxes. He has both Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, and then he also has a Machamp. I'm telling you, the music actually makes this all very epic, but I don't want to get in any troubles with YouTube, so I'm going to leave that sound out. But after you beat Bruno, your third person up is Agatha, and she's got Ghost and Poison type Pokemon. Her lineup has an Arbok, Haunter, a Golbat, and 2 Gengars. I really like how the purple pillars ended up looking to go with the theme of this room. And then finally, the last of the Elite Four that you have to beat is downstairs, and that is Lance, the Dragon Specialist. And he's got Gyarados, an Aerodactyl, 2 Dragonairs, and a Dragonite. Which actually I thought growing up was the same as a Charizard. I don't know why they don't look anything alike, really. But anyways, going upstairs, the last battle you have to do is against your rival, Gary. And I think depending on who you picked as your starter, his lineup's a little different. But assuming you picked like Charizard like I probably would have, the lineup he probably has is a Heracross, Alakazam, Tyranitar, Arcanine, Exeggutor, and Blastoise. And then after you beat him, you become the league champion. You get that trophy back there. So that's it for my house. If you go back outside, there's like a little secret area that leads to the secret beach. And it's for after you beat the main storyline game. You go around the back here and you go to the Hall of Fame. When you're done in the game, Professor Oak comes up to you and he has you import all of your Pokemon team names into a computer and you get immortalized in the Hall of Fame. So that's what I did with my secret beach here. As for the rest of my beaches, I couldn't really figure out a way to put them in this video without like just abruptly cutting. So I'm going to abruptly cut and jump back to the front of my island so I could show you what I put on them really quick. I wanted to put the legendaries in here in some way. So if we go to the right here, down this secret way, you get into the power plant and there's hidden Pokemon and Pokeballs, but the main thing you come in here for is for the chance to capture Zapdos, which here he is. I did not design those cutouts. I will definitely leave the code for them in the description below, along with the other legendaries. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to go back to the left here to the other side. Just brace for another abrupt cut. Sorry, ugly editing. But this is where we have the Seafoam Islands. And I believe you just need to have Surf to access this area. So you can't really get to it until after you beat the gym in Fuchsia City. But it's an icy maze down here. Lots of hidden Pokeballs. But the real reason that people come here is to find the legendary Pokemon, Articuno. This design is beautiful for the cutouts. I also didn't do this one, but it looks great. And then once you leave this little area and go a little bit further to the left, you get to what's supposed to be Mount Ember. It's supposed to be like a volcano mountain. It's on one island. It's called one island. So this is supposed to be like a mountainy volcano place. Not my best effort, but I really couldn't figure out how to do it. But this is where you get to move around a bunch of rocks and eventually you come to Moltres. The last of the 3, I guess, sort of legendary Pokemon. I didn't realize for a long time that their names are like in Spanish, there's a Spanish number on the end. You know, Arctic Uno, Zapdos, and Moltres. So, maybe you knew. I'm not that cool. But, going further up my beach here, I just did a little fishing area for this guy up on the rock, and then I had a lot of flowers, and I just decided to make them into the different types of Pokeballs. So that's just a regular Pokeball there. This one is a Great Ball. Further up the beach, we have an Ultra Ball. And then finally, we have the Master Ball up here, which I always save for Cerulean Cave, which can only be accessed after doing like a trillion missions. But it finally gives you access to Mewtwo, which I think is the most popular legendary Pokemon, obviously. And so I just had to include him on my little island here, even if it was just in the little corner. And that brings us to the end of yet another island tour video. Hope you enjoyed going through my Pokemon Fire Red themed island with me. My dream address is going to be down below if you want to explore for yourself. It'll probably have this theme there for the next few months before I change it again. Hopefully, I'll see you again next upload. Bye!